Welcome to Endgame Sensei, where I give two chumps a position where they will flail and fail miserably. It's always a good time. Buckle up. Here we go. All right, my friends. So today's game, this is Sveshnikov Kasparov Soviet Championship, 1979. Kasparov's but a young pup. And interesting position. I think we're gonna. Usually, I make a poll about this, and I say something like, "How do you feel?" But this is not actually the actual position yet. And what I'm gonna say first of all is, like with Kostya's game, we're already at move 31 here, and back in the day they did not have any kind of increment. So I'm gonna guess there was at least mild time pressure on both from both sides at this position.
Or maybe they each still had an hour on the clock.
No, I don't think so. So here we go, H4. One of the interesting things about this position is the position I'm going to show you is a pawn endgame. And David made the claim when we were talking about it that it was a simple thing. Now, maybe he's going to prove it to be a simple thing. We'll see. But one thing I want to stress about this move is, to my mind, what Sveshnikov is saying with h4 is that he can survive the pawn ending. Why? Because you just put your pawn on a dark square, and we're anticipating, as Kasparov did, that black is going to fix that pawn on the dark square. So you can go back and you can claim maybe white can draw this position. Maybe he can. But this move, I think it's important to say, is already making a claim that when the black bishop will have to eventually go to c5. And when it does, we will be able to hold the pawn ending, right? I think that's one of the big features of the position. Okay, so let me show you how it went, and then we're going to have...
Hey, Jesse?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can I interrupt you to maybe fix the camera?
Yes.
On me, it's just I can't fix it from my side.
Oh, you're all messed up, buddy. How did that happen?
Somehow there's two different halves to my
How did that happen, man? What's going on? That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. We might keep it like that, my friend.
Okay.
All right. Let's just get rid of this thing and try it again. But that's hilarious. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, welcome Caitlin Koala. Nice to have another Caitlin in the dojo.
You know what, buddy? I think it's I think it's you. I don't think it's me.
On my side in the Zoom window, my camera's working normally.
Yeah, I see a normal video for David as well. But Jesse, your Zoom seems to be messed up. Maybe you got to refresh Zoom somehow.
Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on. No, it's so funny. Wait, now it's working. I don't know why. I don't know what the problem was, but it's working, so I will fix it.
I'm really showing the behind the scenes here with our Zoom.
All right, there it is, my friends. Let's bring David in. Give him a little... I like that, though. We could... If you play really bad moves, David, I might just...
You might do that back to me.
I might do that back to you, buddy. All right. Especially if I could make the top half move, away from the bottom half.
It really fit the painting behind David.
That's... David, I think a lot of our Twitch users, man, are traumatized by that painting. I'm a little traumatized by the painting. I gotta say, it's a little traumatizing.
I mean, you want me to protect your feelings, Jesse?
Oh.
Do you need me to make this a less traumatic place for you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. So with h4, what I want to say is my feeling is that while David thought the pawn endgame was easy, we're going to see if he can crush it. While he thought it was easy, I think Sveshnikov basically believed, maybe it was time pressure, but he believed that he was going to hold this thing. So here we go. Bishop f2, b3. That makes sense. You need to control c4. and now g6. Now, it turns out through deep analysis that g6 is questionable. Okay? However, this is
I
not
don't know
the
if you
end.
need. I don't know if you need deep analysis. I think b3 and g6 both look pretty bad.
No, g6 is clever. It's actually technically wrong, but it's clever because you are forcing Zugzwang. White is now in Zugzwang, right here. Okay. So it makes sense, but there was real technical reasons why it could be improved on. But that's not what we're going to do today. I will say that if people are interested in this, there's some very deep analysis in the Dvoretsky Endgame manual of this position. But what we are going to focus on is the position that David called easy. So we're going to go pop, pop. And then here, like I said, I believe that Sveshnikov now felt it was easy peasy with pop, pop. And then we'll say it's white to move here. And let's start it up. Are you guys in the live chess?
Yeah, let me get in.
Probably.
This might be super easy, and that's fine. We might run it back more than once. If it's a short episode, that's okay. What we're gonna do, by the way, this is the position that we're gonna do for it's designed for the rating band that we're beta testing right now, so 1200 to 1300. And so they will have to win the position 3 times in a row as black. So here we go. Hello, Kostya.
Cool. I'm just happy me and David finally predicted one of these positions for once.
Yeah. All right. Pop. All right. Here it comes. Are you ready for Endgame Sensei? Pop. All right, here they go, guys. They're going to mute their mics and stuff. And here we go. Other people are saying it's easy. Hello, Coast, just thinking about it in a little bit. Now, it might be easy, but what I think is important is that Sveshnikov was no chump. And like I said with the h4 move earlier, at least he believed that he could hold this position. So here we're going to see David's technique. David has sometimes the guy's a little arrogant, okay? Sometimes he's a little arrogant. And so I'm hoping he blows it one time, you know? I'm hoping he blows it one time for the benefit of everybody. We had a pawn endgame. He has a belief that I think is misguided, but I understand where it comes from. That any pawn endgame, that you can work it out. And we did a very difficult pawn endgame. I don't know, about 2 months ago. And no, he didn't work it out. They can be sometimes hard. It's true, though, that if you are going to imagine, like, let's say, calculating something out, then it's the pawn endgame is the place where you could calculate it all the way out to the end. And I think that Kasparov did figure this out. Just do that. Okay. Good. So far, they've done it correctly. So king b2, b4 is Zugzwang. That's why king b1 is played. And now we're probably going to get the game with king a3. b4 would be a blunder. b4 would be a blunder after king b2. So yeah, and now David's got it. And now he's going to talk smack. See? But let me just say, because I'm a gentle sensei, that I allowed him to do it to me. I allowed it. After the disgrace I suffered last week, I'm allowing this further disgrace upon me. Okay, so I needed to fix the text. Of course, I did not. People here are well aware, though. They're so used to me blowing it here with the text that, they're just like, they understand. So, pop. Oh, it's being... what is going on here? It's being a real Jerkovich. There we go. I'm going to say David is black. Another fun thing that I think is going to be planned is that I organized all of these endgame sparring situations for the both the algorithms, what I'm calling the algorithms, like bishop and knight mate, as well as these more positional positions. And the hope for the algorithms, actually, I'll tell them this, and they can chime in on it here.
Good game.
Good game. Good. So maybe we made it. Maybe Costa made it too easy. I'm just kidding. One thing I was going to say, what I was saying while you guys are just finishing, is that an intention, I think is really cool, is like I was saying, we have the algorithms, and then we have the endgame sparring. This one, the endgame sparring, which is more positional. This one, honestly, maybe you could just call an algorithm. But still, I like where it is for our rating band of 12 to 1300. We don't even begin the endgame sparring until 1000. But what I was hoping to do, what I hope they do, is that when we have our launch in a month, that David and Kostya could try to do like a speed run through the algorithms and see how far they get. Most of the algorithms are something like, well, win 3 times in a row. For example, do the bishop and knight mate 3 times in a row. So I'm hoping they can do that. I think it would be a great show. And then what we could do is we could splice those videos so that people who are doing it can view how David and Kostya did with any particular algorithm. Okay. All right, we ready to run it back? This might be the shortest endgame sensei ever, which is okay. It's fine. So here we're going to have Mr. Proust be white. And if we want to spice it up, we could go back a couple moves and see how they do. If we really want to spice it up. But in any case, here we go. Unrated, pop, pop, pop. Here they go. Bang. It should be said, if it weren't for that dirty A4 move, then it would become a lot more complicated. Or if white had 2 tempi and could play king d3, a3. Even if he got in king d3, a3, it should be said, it's still a little bit complicated depending on who's to move. And the drama we want to say about this g6 move, which did force Zugzwang, was that once you do it, you lose the ability to lose a move, right? Once you make the pawn move, you can't do it again. And so saving the pawn moves is a key feature of this kind of endgame play. Mr. Proust is thinking, can he do something besides king d3? If he does not move within a minute, then chess.com is going to boot us from the game. Oh, he did it. He did play a3. Good. Now, unfortunately, king d4 looks really animalistic, let's say, because black can lose a move with a5 himself. Otherwise, maybe Proust could dream of just following him, opposition style, following him around. What platform is the plan being released on? Well, we got our own website and stuff, and we have our own Discord server. So we're using a Discord server for the communication, and then we've got a website where we have both the training, we have the training program, we've got the videos, things like that. Whoa, I gotta say, B4 probably works. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So now Kostya's got the opposition. White has to cede, and then everything's falling apart. Okay, fair enough. There it goes. All right, my friends. Should we make it a little bit more spicy? Let's make it a little bit more spicy.
Sure.
But DM Hokie, when you cut this for our friends who are doing just that position, for them, I think that's plenty difficult, and it's fine. So, but for the rest of just for us to have some fun, we're gonna run it back here. And this position, just to my naked eyes, I would call this an advantage for black. I wouldn't call it winning. Well, they might have a different opinion, but we're gonna run this here, and let's give Hello Kostya, aka Kostya, a chance to do this. And this, and I gotta get me a fen. Do you guys have a quick take about whether this, if you have strong feelings about this being winning for black?
The version with the bishop on the board?
With this one in front of us here, without h4.
Oh, the game started, but
Oh, they started. Sure. Sorry, buddy. I started. I clicked the button. You're all on your own.
Okay. My feeling was that black is better, but not actually winning until the pawn endgame.
Okay.
That's good.
Real big question about what white should do.
Yeah, I guess he'll try not to trade bishops, right?
I should have given him a little time, because if he doesn't move in a minute, then chess.com cuts us off. gives us the boot. Gives us the boot. Right, if g4, g5 looks good, right? Okay, so bishop f2. So let's say some obvious stuff. In order to make progress, at some point, doesn't have to be now, black would like to play bishop c5 to either kick the bishop from the diagonal or to gain the squares, or to gain to the pawn endgame. So we get the squares access for the black king. So my default move here for black would definitely still be h5. And then we'll keep that pawn on g7 at home. He goes d5 immediately. Okay. I don't know about bishop e3. I don't know about that. Now g4 looks real tasty. Oh, yeah. I would have preferred h3, I think, there for white. But that was a good move, g5. And I think Mr. Rosenberg was talking about g5 in the chat. That was a good find. Who is black? Thank you very much. In fact, it is David is black. So good. I got that one right. That was just 50-50 chance. That was 50-50 chance I got that one right. G4 is an evil move. So it's evil because, for one, now white doesn't have any more moves with the pawns. And that means black has two moves, h6 and h5, that he can give, that he can lose in the struggle for the Zugzwang, which is going to come later. And the times are all messed up, Kraai, so how come you can't get the times? Why can't you get the times? Oh, man. I don't know. I we're just going to get rid of this one. So much work. So much work. Oh, this is too much, Kraai. And now I gotta go squiggly wiggly on the times. Oh, lordy. There's Kostya over there, way down there. I'm ruining everything just to grab this time. I don't know why it didn't work. A lot of times it just works. So we'll put Kostya Kost up there, and that will kill. And then, look at this. Zoom skills, Operation 3000. Rated 3000. With sound effects too for you. Wait a second. Did you even get the times right, boss? Yeah, okay. It is correct. David is black even though he's on the bottom. There we go. Well, that wasn't so bad. It was a little traumatic for the old sensei here to be fiddling with the times and such. But you know what? I'm learning. They give me a lot of smack, these millennials. You know, they give me a lot of lip. But I take it. You know, it's part of the Endgame Sensei gig. You got to take what they give you, you know? It's not like I haven't ever given them any grief. All right, it's A5, and one of the questions there was quite simply, was black winning on bishop c5? Given, though, that our h-pawn has two moves to give, it would seem that we can go ahead and play a5, a4. GM Nixons, thank you, my friends, for raiding. Yep. We're doing this endgame that you might be familiar with. We're playing it out. This is Shevesnikov, Kasparov, 1979. And we wanted to give white the chance to improve on the first move that Shevesnikov played, which was h4. Unfortunately, this doesn't look like white's improved the position because this big fat pawn on g4 is now there, and it looks real nasty. I'm not an honorary millennial, Amandla. You know what they call me? They call me a boomer. Sad but true. That's what they call me. Yep. That's what they call me, Amandla. Is it nice? No, it's not very nice to call me a boomer. I'll tell you that. GM makes sense to say we're both boomers. It's really rough, the millennials, man. Never really has any generation felt as much hatred as the millennials feel for their older friends, for their older friends and cousins. Now, Amanda's talking about my beautiful brick wall that she calls hipster. You know, thank you for noticing that I've got some hipster qualities in me. You know, it's important for this old boomer to have something that the millennials can self-identify with. So here we go. One thing about this a5 move that gives me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. Well, you know, I was going to say heebie-jeebies, but, well, yeah. Could white ever play bishop e1? And if a4, play b4? And if bishop c5, that the second he goes bishop g1, after I say take on a5, could I go trap that bishop? You know, go like bishop g1, king e2. Now, but the bad news is bishop g1. But anyways, bishop e1, that's my big question. I did. I paid off debt working in the summer scooping ice cream. Yeah, where's my beanie? Where's my hipster beanie? Oh, so I misplaced it. I misplaced my hipster beanie. It's true, Baltimore has a lot of brick. Okay, Kraai. Focus. Focus. B3. And bishop c5 was just played. Makes a lot of sense. Now, bishop e1. So, what is Kosi doing? He's calculating whether he can survive the pawn endgame. The intuition is no, he will not be able to survive it. But he's thinking about it. And that if bishop e1, what would happen on, say, bishop g1? The bad news is bishop e1 just simply a4, and then bishop g1 is coming. So he decides, I got to do it anyway, for better or for worse. If Kosi had played bishop e1 instead of b3, maybe that would have been more interesting. And now a4 is the typical move to gain us the c4 square. Important because we want this entry square and we want that one. And remember, we have two moves to give over here. White could have played king c3 in that position instead as well, but I think h6. We tell him to move. We say, boss, you got to move. There might have been a dirty trick we could have done there. Let me just go here. I was going to say maybe like h6, pop, pop, pop. But then look, joke's on you, buddy. Joke's on you, pal. Oh no, refresh it or something, Kraai. You've blown it. You've blown it. Refresh. Refresh. All right, here we go. This is our current position. Yeah, Rosenberg's saying this is toast. It does look bad. It does look bad. So just to, we've had our official endgame, Sensei, but here, let me just show you what's going on. In this position, this is Shreveshnikov, Kasparov, 1979. White played h4, and we're trying to ascertain if White has any chances by doing other things. And in particular, practical chances, because I will say there's some very deep analysis that's been done on parts of the position. And in the game, too, Kasparov made at least a key inaccuracy. But, that's definitely part of the game, the inaccuracies. All right, king d5. I love it. I think White is toast. Toast. On king e3, we can imagine a4, snip, snap, king d3, h6. And the king is getting run out. Now, it is kind of true that maybe White has a dream of going to snaggle this guy while we go snaggle here. And without counting, it seems like Black should be able to be faster with this guy. But we will have to count. Seth asks, why did they trade the bishops? Because you had to. You had to trade the bishops. If the bishops weren't traded, then bishop g1 was possible, which is why we're seeing, actually, let's go back. I think I had a false narrative about why Shreveshnikov played h4. I was telling a story about, hey, he believes he's going to survive the pawn endgame, whereas maybe the story he was telling himself was, oh no, I have to play h4 just to stop g5. Yeah, I might have got my stories mixed up here. All right, Bruce is, now it will get a little spicy here, my friends. So let's do a little counting with some arrows. Pop, pop. Then we'll go king d3, h6, king c3, king e4, king b4, king f3, king a4, king g2, king b5, king pop, or pawn pop, pawn pop, pawn pop. This is getting kind of scary. I think White is still winning, but it's a little close for comfort. Is there a way that David can do it without making close for comfort? We should think so. We should think so. In particular, Maybe we'll even put the pawn on h5 so that it's closer to the end goal. Mr. Rosenberg is asking, what about bishop e3 to prevent g5? Possible. It's not clear it prevents it, though, because the pawn on e5 is falling if you take on g5. All right, so h5 was played. I mostly like it. And now king c3 is really the only shot I see at survival here. There we go. And I think we're going to get that variation. So king e, let's do little arrows here. Well, maybe they're going to move so fast that my arrows might get negated. They're going to get a bunch of extra time here too. King b4, king f3, king takes, king g2, king b5. He might think about maybe it'll be different in different spots. Now after a4, I'm guessing h4, exactly. That was the reason to play h5 instead of h6. Yeah, and this is toast. But white does get a queen. We could be here all day still. Let's say the easy way would be queen b1, king to the c file, queen c1, take on f4, goodbye. I might tell Kostya to resign. Because if you don't tell them to resign, they sometimes don't resign. So we're just going to get it ready. We're going to get that resign call ready. I'm going to say, okay, comma, you can resign now. Because they'll play forever, man. Actually, I'll tell you what, if he plays queen b1, queen c1, queen f4, we'll then say, boss, you got to resign. Yeah, Seth needs to learn how to resign. Queen f1 looks convincing too. Fair enough. Fair enough. I haven't hit the send button yet. I'm waiting. Mr. Pruz is a maximalist, though, so he'll try to make it, even more convincing. There is no, I'm sure you don't actually need to go take that pawn on f4. It would force his resignation. Now, there goes queen f1. That's right. Coach comes, pulls you off. All right, if he takes the thing, we're going to say you can resign. All right, let's just send it. Let's just send it. Don't get fancy and play queen f2 check. Just take it, boss. Boom, I sent it. I sent it. There it is, resigns. They were very responsive that time. Very responsive. Okay, let's try this again.
I was going to resign after he took the pawn.
I was going to send the announcement after he took the pawn, but it was just taking too long for him to take the pawn.
I was calculating g3 as well here.
Yeah.
One thing I should say, we were telling the chat as we were talking about the whole narrative of why white played h4, and it's becoming a little bit more clear. He might be terrified of g5.
Yeah, definitely that's what he was afraid of. Yeah.
Are you guys ready to run it back?
Sure.
Here we go, my friends. Pop! All right, this one I have to change who is black and who is white, or else people will be mad at me. They'll be calling me a boomer and all that other stuff. So we're saying Kostya is black. I'm going to go hang out with Seth, I think, in Colorado in May. I got a tournament out there towards the end of May. Denver Open. I got invited. I played pre-COVID. I won that event. And cool people. So I'm going back. 5-round event. Should be some other GMs and IMs there. Good job, you boomer. You know, this is, I'm gonna allow it. That's something I had to allow in chat because maybe that's too mean to call, because it's derogatory. You know why? Twitch knows that boomer is a derogatory thing that you millennials fling around like it's no. You guys are so sensitive about yourselves and your touchy feelings and stuff. Then you call everyone a boomer, and then you expect us to be, you know, okay with all your sensitive stuff. It's not okay, millennials. It's not okay. You can't have it both ways anyway, all right? Can't have it both ways. If you want to be touchy-feely about all your words and all your things, then please don't be throwing around that boomer, all right? Millennials totally use boomers. Oh my God. All right, there's H3. All right, let's go to the game, Kraai. Stop getting all caught up in the words that they're throwing at you. So one basic question is, should black play G5? And Hello Kostya says, yes, we should. This is definitely more interesting for white, though. And I wanted, and the last time too, I wanted white to play H3 after G5 happened. Okay. Now, a lot of the questioning here, whatever we want to call it, is GF, I believe, forces GF. Because you take with the bishop, black bishop goes around and snaggletooths our pawn on E5. So after GF, it seems like that's better for black, or great for black, because then it's a very short trip to start picking up the pawns. However, maybe life isn't so simple. That's what Mr. Proust is trying to figure out. He's also thinking about FG, which feels insane, but maybe you should do it. It at least changes the structure of the game. So for example, FG, king takes E5, G4. Totally something to think about. Oh yeah, this is spicy. Now, let's just imagine this for a second. So F takes, king takes. Let's just say we want to keep you out of there and play G4. Then what black could do is move the king back, play E5, E4, and make big claims. I don't know how significant that is. One thing I like about FG is it really changes the structure of the position. It's bishop B4, E1 a threat. Well, Mr. Rosenberg's asking an important question. So let's just go back a second and imagine after H3, what about that move? Very simple, right? And you could say, well, if you allow bishop B1 and G4 happens, then G5 really comes with the thud. No, it's the same thing though, right? We'll still play G4. When you play G5, I snip the dip. Uh-oh, Kraai, you need to refresh. Ooh. Chess.com used to let me go back. Now it's not letting me go back. Pop. Oh, I reversed the colors. Back. All right, here we go. Peshka asks, what if I play B3 and do nothing? Well, it's a little bit what happened in the game. And the problem will be after the bishops trade, then king C5, king B4, king A3 is the danger. Bishop F2. I liked FG. I thought FG was at least interesting. Maybe it was simply losing or something like that, but I liked it. And maybe black should have waited to play G5s in a position where FG wasn't really possible. That's also a thought. All right, H5 happens. Okay, and now we're expecting G4. And from Proust's standpoint, I think is what he is saying is now black doesn't get to lose the move after HG, HG. It's kind of clever in itself. Okay, we're getting to see what his conception is here. The cam is shaking. Whose cam is shaking? My cam? I'm going to get a little water for myself. Yeah, David, stop shaking your camera, buddy. All right, here we go, A5. This one's kind of a close run affair, for sure. Anacromium has a very fair point, is that now it's a much better version for white because after bishop c5, not trading the bishops is far less scary for him because there's bishop g1 doesn't have some big threat. However, if we go bishop c5 and you go bishop e1, the terror from black's perspective, from white's perspective, is that you can't move the bishop from e1. And your king can't move. Let's put, like, say bishop c5, bishop e1, for example. Your king can't move because of king e4. And if your bishop's on e1, your bishop can't move either because of bishop f2. So it still looks bad, and white still needs a good move here. I've got a millennial orange here. These millennial oranges come in these little easy slip-off packages, and they require far less work than when I was a kid, where we had real oranges, where you had to actually like kind of bite into it, get a citrusy blast into your mouth, and it was just a lot of work back in the day to eat an orange. Nowadays, the oranges peels just slip off. That's what the millennials have figured out. I'm not complaining. Not everything you millennials have done has been atrocious. You guys have contributed to a lot of things, okay? See, I'm generous. I'm telling you, you guys create this orange that I don't even have to bite into. Fantastic. I'm not complaining. I'm sitting here enjoying your orange. Yeah, what is it? That's a good question. It belongs to the citrus family. We're going to call it a cousin of the orange. I think it's technically a clementine. The millennials, though, are marketing them as cuties because that's just what millennials do. Did millennials invent MySpace? I don't know about that. All right, Kostya. He's trying to figure out whether bishop c5 wins. And let's just say it. Yeah, we're going to say the obvious thing. In contrast to the last game, Kostya doesn't have tempi to blow over here with his h-pawn. Bishop b4, good move. All right, I like it. That's an evil move there, Kostya Kost. That's a nice one, buddy. Very nice. So, we were talking about a position with the bishop on c5 and bishop on e1, creating a Zugzwang. Now the bishop can't move, and we're going to just claim that the king can't move because of both king c4 and bishop c5. So now, let's say that El Natural move for white would be b3. And after b3, we can either take or play bishop a5 and say, buddy, you're in the same Zugzwang position as last year, the same one. So maybe Kostya Kost has figured it out here, bishop b4. And we can see here the problem that even without the pawn on h2, there was an additional problem for white here. So maybe, my initial, or rather, let me put it this way. I know, because there's deep analysis of this game, that it really goes from move to move. Like there's inaccuracies will be made, and just like Kasparov made a big inaccuracy, though it felt like a very natural move. In the game, actually, we can say what the inaccuracy was. He played g6, losing one of the Zugzwang moves, putting his opponent in Zugzwang, but you want to hold back your own pawn moves as much as possible. In any case, what I'm saying is I know that, it's easy to make mistakes and yada yada here, but that essentially the position is very hard from a practical standpoint for white to hold here. Well, that's true, Charlie Silva. If Kostya hadn't been eating all those avocados, he would have paid off his debt, And I tried to tell Kostya, I was like, buddy, I appreciate that avocados are nice and everything, but you got to be thinking about that debt you got to be paying off, boss. You can't just be eating avocados all the time, all right? Here's a question. Does bishop g1 hold things? It would get real ugly after bishop e1, bishop h2. But maybe you could hope for it because like some weird king e2 move to kick the bishop out when you're ready. It's hard for me to see what else white's supposed to do here though. Ooh, that's a nasty move. I'm going to go ahead and say king e4 is toast. Well, there it is. Musky Manatee, he's a millennial and he can't even go pee-pee or poopy without his avocados. That's the level of dependence that the millennials have reached on their avocados. So it's all well and good for me to talk about how they're in debt because they eat too many avocados and those avocados are expensive. By the way, millennials, you have made avocados cheaper. I'm going to give you that too. Back in the day, avocados were very expensive and you guys have dramatically cut down on the cost of avocados. But I understand you're still in debt because you're eating too many of them. And you need them, because if you don't have them, you can't go poopy. As Mr. Manatee says, I get it. It's not easy. Now, back in the day, we didn't have cell phones, and now I realize millennials believe, and I understand why, that they have to have cell phones, that they could not exist without cell phones, that they would just rather go in debt and be dead rather than not have cell phones. I get it. Okay. We're having a deep discussion about what is going to be required for a good poopy. It's an important discussion. Now, my sense is bishop c3, bishop d4. No puedo play. No puedo play from Mr. White here. Oh, yeah, the next generation, man. My daughter, if she doesn't have her iPad, she loses it, man. Loses it. She's 5 years old. She needs the iPad. I think she's so young, her generation doesn't even have a name yet, you know? Her generation doesn't even have a name yet. I don't get why White played A takes B3. Or rather, you probably mean B takes A4. I think his hope is that in the coming bishop ending, that the black king will have grief when it goes to take that pawn on A2. You know, and I just had a crazy thought of what Mr. Proust might be thinking. Let's say, Mr. Proust might have an evil idea. Let's say that in order to get me, just imagine this, that you have to give a tempo with A3. Then I let you go take this pawn. But when you take it, my big fat king lands on C2 and says, "What, buddy? How you getting out?" That might be what's going on. Holy moly. Mr. Proust is a devious dude. You got to watch him. You always got to watch him. Yeah, over at the GM house back in the day, be careful, man. You be careful. You let some treats out on the table, gone. You're like, what? What happened? Where are my treats? They just disappear, man. So you got to watch out with the Proust, man. He'll take your treats and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And so I think that was, but somebody asked actually, what was BA4 a mistake? And maybe, but I think that's his intention. If we go to the bishop ending and give you the A2 pawn, if the black pawn is on A3, which I think it would probably have to lose that tempo, then we have a shot. Now this is frisky here from White. Maybe he does in fact have a different idea. Bishop D4, isn't Bishop D4 kind of winning and crinning and ginning? I don't know, man, because you can't, Bishop D4, you can't go to D2 because of Bishop F2, and on King E2, I got King C3. Goodbye. Goodbye. I don't know. They're doing things. That seems like a fine move too. Intention, King C3, and up. Now maybe David can get frisky with F5. Maybe David can get frisky with F5. There he goes. See? I know David pretty good, man. I've known David for a long time. He's going to get frisky. Now, yeah, no, that's a frisky move. There's just no other way of framing it except to say that's a frisky move. Yeah. We got to say, the coast to coast might have missed F5. Well, Mr. Proust, buddy, always fight. Now, it got to be said, Kostya's done well in his endgames in the real IRL tournaments, but Mr. Bruce has been schooling him on these endgames. And I'm sure mistakes were made on both sides and everything. It's a difficult endgame. But this F5, boom. I have a feeling Coast to Coast missed that when he played Bishop A5. Bishop A5 looked good. Definitely did. I thought Bishop D4 looked clean to me. But now this thing, man. F5, that's a dirty move. Kostya's got some time. Bishop B4. Perhaps. Okay. So we'll say that that was dirty. Look at that. That was a dirty move. Dang. Bruce is bringing the dirty today. He's bringing the dirty today. Oh, no. That was evil. That was an evil move, my friends. That was not very nice. That was not very nice. Oh, F6 was truly not nice. That's right, Seth. That's right. David needs to be playing some tournaments. Oh, F6 is a savage move, man. Kostya missed F5, and then he missed F6, and then all of a sudden, is Black now, like, wondering how to make a draw? That's my question. Because you cannot win my pawn on E5. I can always play Bishop D6. And then, am I not simply going to take your pawn on G4? And then when you go talk to my A2 pawn, I can play A3. This is no longer a pimple for a simple, as they say. Simple for a pimple? I get it mixed up sometimes. You gotta cut me some slack. Yeah, White's got to start worrying. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, wait, am I talking? Uh-oh, did I not flip the clocks and everything? Kraai. Hey, buddy. Oh, I better not have blown it here. Kostya is black, and he is suffering. Look at that face. That face. He got those Clark Kent glasses on. Millennials don't know who Clark Kent is. That's okay. That's okay. They don't need to know that. Brutal. Savage. Now, do you have the right times, Craig? Because sometimes you blow it, huh? Can you just check for me, please? No, you don't, boss. You blew it with the times, okay? We're going to fix the times. Look at that. This is OBS streaming skills that only a millennial could only be proud of, the skills that this boomer GM has here. All right, so King F4 or Bishop D6. King F4 looks, of course, more natural. We're going to play Bishop D6 next move, and we're going to say, yeah, maybe Coast to Coast can say, I'm drawing. Maybe Coast just got, no. Don't even think about it, Kraai. Don't even think about it. Now it's frightening. All right. You guys, this is pretty intense right now. This is a very intense position all of a sudden. And first of all, clearly White has lost control. Black has lost control. But is there tricks? Like, I was just imagining, like, can we play King G4 and go into that position? And if it doesn't work here, can we arrange it to work? Right? So imagine if we get the king here, you're gone. Or at least that's what we would expect. And so, King G4, snip, snop, King E5, King G5. And how do you prevent King H6, King H6, King G7? Boss. 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 She's lost control. Okay, so he's thinking about it. Now, does he have other moves besides king g4? He does. For example, I don't really want him to lose the tempo with a3. Okay? I just don't want him to do it. Okay, so I think you're going to, if White wants to win, and Bruce will try to win, because that's who he is. He's first going to do a little massage with the bishop back and forth. And then is he going to go for it? I mean, I'd be dreaming about king g4, boss. King g4. Just see how it goes. If I get my king to g7, that's all she wrote, boss. All right, let's go. King g4, pop. Pop, pop. King g5. Feels like Zugzwang. a3, g4. Maybe there's this. Bam, 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 bam. Whew. It's not over yet. Bam, 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 bam. Oh, a2, weak queen first though. So we got to say White's in charge in that one. Holy moly. Benedek is saying the e-pawn is faster. Let's check. Pop. 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 So for kicks, we'll say a3, g4, king d4, king h6, e5, king g7, e4, king takes, e3, king, what's a good square? G6, e2, f7, e1, and it's true, he nails our pawn at the end. No, our pawn is on g4. Well, that's why I guess black should initiate the drama immediately. Good. I think you're right, Benedek. I think you're right. Bruce is thinking about it. He wants it. The other dirty thing you can consider is king g4, bishop e5, bishop d8. It's definitely spicy. Oh, I'm surprised Mr. Proust didn't go for it. Maybe he's just getting a little time thinking about it. Who likes the Indigo Girls? Good question. Good question. I'm not even sure I can hum a lot of songs, but I'm pretty sure I can't sing an Indigo Girl song. Charlie Silva's still working on that music contract, and he might be so disappointed in me for not being able to sing an Indigo Girl song that he's going to cancel it. But, I just like to be truthful. All right. So here they come. Maybe we'll talk about this one a little bit. You guys, fascinating. Fascinating. F5, F6, savage moves from Mr. Proust, man. Savage.
I shouldn't have allowed that, I think.
But let's ask.
I was even dreaming of winning.
I know. Well, we have people in the chat talking about it. So let's maybe address this simple question. I'm sure you looked at this variation. Let's say, let me invite you to a board. Time out.
Sure.
I always do that. I start talking and they haven't even been invited to the board yet. Okay. So we were talking about king g4.
Yeah.
Snip. Now, there's a position you could have gotten to with bishop d8 here, but this is the big question I'm sure you were thinking about.
Yep.
And what were you thinking?
D5.
King d5, pop,
E5,
pop,
king E6.
pop.
I thought I can just push the e-pawn.
Well, that's what Benedek was saying, and maybe that's what you should do. But so they're in this position after King G7. I think the real bummer is when you queen, you can take this bad boy.
Yeah, I thought the King E6 line was a draw as well.
Yeah. Okay, so it was close. It was close. F4, F5, and F6, savage. Savage moves.
Yeah.
I think definitely, let's see, let's go back here. My sense, Kostya, was Bishop D4 seemed winning to me. Because King E4 no puedo, because of Bishop F. Well, maybe.
No,
Wait,
yeah,
why are we even doing this? Why not play Bishop E1 last move?
It's Bishop H4, I thought.
Okay, and then King C3 to B2.
Fair enough.
But King C3, there's King E2.
King E2 is a little unpleasant.
Okay, so play King B4.
So
And you have
E1.
check.
And then check, you go to C3, you triangulate
Yeah, that makes
that
sense.
way
Yeah.
to advance.
Maybe King E2 here.
Ooh, I didn't see that move.
Let me show you something obvious. Pop, pop, pop. The bummer is this. And I thought, David, maybe you had been intending a trick like this in the pawn endgame when you took on A4. I was thinking, oh, maybe David's intending, like let's say we go to a pawn endgame now, and A3 happens, then winning the pawn does not win the game for black.
Yeah.
So like, boom, 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 boom. Well, you could have yeah, let's say you play over, I don't know. Like that, yeah, let's say you just kick it. Oh, the other thing that was fascinating here was in this position, it looks very sad, but this, I wasn't 3,000% sure that this was winning.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Because here you can kick him out.
But I go
quite-
Bishop F2. I trap the bishop.
It's quite humiliating. We can say that much.
Yeah, let's say Bishop B6.
Now the bishop can just move back and forth on this diagonal.
Yeah. Okay, good enough. Good enough.
Oh my god.
So let's just see if there was some. I loved the idea of the pawn end game, of drawing with the pawn end game.
Right.
Because don't you, like if I just hang out, no, because we're saying.
Well, I
here-
just want to go King C4.
King C4 and King B4, right? So that's why Mr. Proust is doing this stuff.
Yeah, maybe I should have gone Bishop B4 right away.
Well, I think what we're saying is that this position here is got to be winning for you. And maybe King E3 is, maybe white is better than King E3?
No, I don't think I've.
Well, okay. So, right, let's say I go here. And then Bishop B4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me just say, like, if the problem is black has this to move later.
Yeah. Here, if I trap the king on A2, black can just play A3.
All right, basic question. Let's conclude with the basic question. Do you guys think that the position we started from, so way back here, do you think it's winning for black?
This one? Well, I will say, actually, my thoughts did change because originally, I feel like I saw this example in the Positional Chess Handbook, and it just showed, I think, like the idea of the the active king and then playing a4 and trading the pawns and stuff. I feel like I remember thinking like, oh, it was such a mistake to trade the bishops. He should have kept the bishops on the board and like he would have held easily. That's what I was thinking. Like, oh, easy. But it's
Easily,
really
huh?
not easy with the bishops on the board.
Well, let me just say, there's a reason you have that memory, and what happened in the game, right? So it was h4, h5, and the key mistake that Kasparov made was he played g6. And you can see from the example, and I was like, right. If we'd held that tempo, buddy, if we had held that tempo, it would be a different story, right?
Right.
And that's why in the game, after bishop c5 happens, bishop e1, it's by analysis is shown that you can hold the thing, right? But
So white could have held in the game?
White could have held in the game, but only because black played g6, right?
So white could have played bishop e1 and just sort of sat there, like I kind of did in this game for a bit, and it would have not been broken eventually.
So it went like this: pop, excuse me, h4, h5, excuse me,
e3, g6, I think.
no, we went, okay, bishop b4, it's not letting me move, right, bishop f2, and then bishop b4, b3, and then this is the position with black to move, and g6 does induce Zugzwang, so it's clear why Kasparov did it, right? But the problem is, hey buddy, hey buddy, you're gonna need that move still for a second Zugzwang, right? Which is why bishop a5 is clever here, and they're saying both bishop a5 and bishop c5 win. Yeah. But bishop c5, you got to be really clever with here, and then this Zugzwang, where now you've got two extra pawn moves. And b4 is not intuitive, right? We're just going to go ahead and say b4 is not an intuitive move.
Right. So you're saying bishop d2, bishop f2, and you trade your b pawn for the king side.
Yeah, well, and you're going to win h4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Well, I enjoyed this one. This is good. And so we have for our viewers, we have, for our training program, we have the original pawn endgame, but also in addition, this business over here. Okay. Well, they might have some last words. I will say we're going to meet we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk, I think we're talking candidates and candidates plus ding now, which has been kind of, I would say, the news of the week.
Do you guys both think that black's winning at this point? I thought I was dead.
Yeah, I think black's winning.
I thought it was winning.
Yeah, I just wanted to check. We agree. Until bishop a5, I thought I was dead the whole game. It was just abject. Jesse asked if we think the position's losing for white from the get-go, and I'm not certain, but it feels more likely that it's lost than that it's drawn. It felt really bad.
Yeah, my initial impression was that it was just an advantage for black, but I think it's actually toast.
It feels that way because Kostya could do that maneuver where he puts his bishop on b4, threatening e1, and he can go back and forth all day, and it just felt like he could do anything he wanted. Honestly, he did David, a better job of it than I did.
I thought you could have gone for it with this move. And
yeah, I thought that was also losing, Jesse. I thought the idea would be that black plays king e5 to d5, right? And then e5, e4 is kind of inevitable. Take even more space, right? And then, yeah, basically these pawns can't make a pass pawn against these two, right?
All I know is that this would have been a chance.
I think that the king and pawn ending should even be winning here, right? Because white's pawns can't make a
I don't know.
passer.
I don't know. This
So
see, I
bishop c5,
have I have pawn moves to give over here with my friend the H pawn too.
Right, but I can just sit around forever behind my passed e pawn, right? King back and forth, eventually get down the board and get to the queen side.
So,
Since white's helpless, and if white keeps the bishop on the board, then we do this, so they can't hold their position forever. And yeah, now there's a road in.
So let me just say something here. So Black, I think, can get the g5 in without the fg as an opportunity. So, for example, if you played bishop d8, and let's just say bishop f2, then you get this position anyway.
Sure.
Right? You could also start with h5 first and say, hey, buddy, you're going to have to give me g5 without the opportunity of fg. I think, Yeah.
Yeah, but h5 is a valuable move.
Well, here actually, I was a little bit more concerned about FG because then white gets this like outside passer possibility.
Right, now there's a way to break through. That's true.
So I wasn't. That's why I started with G5.
But we're only going to play g5 after he moves the bishop
The bishop off.
off.
Jesse wants you to wait for the bishop not to be on this diagonal.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
And I think there's more than one way. You don't have to play h5. You can play bishop d8 first.
Maybe h5. If g4, black can trade and play g5, and that's winning.
That would be our belief system in any case.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, let's wrap it up there. And then we're going to come back in, 5-10 minutes, and we're going to talk about Ding Liren and the candidate cycle. And we were going to talk about best other board games, but we're going to keep that in our pocket for a later time because this Ding news is fascinating. And we now have the candidates set. So we're going to have to give our votes of who we think is going to win. We're going to fight about it, I'm sure. It's going to be a big fight. We're going to cover that. I'm going to cover that candidates thing every day. That's one of the, I care about only a few events in life, and that candidates tournament is one of them. All right?
I'm willing to talk with you about it a second or maybe even a third time.
All right, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.